Starmer's new Brexit deal. A game changer or more of the same? Welcome to Bridge the Channel. Hello and welcome to another episode of Bridge the Channel, brought to you by the Martin Centre. Finally, we have a new Brexit agreement between the EU and the UK, and we finally see the new dynamic that Keir Starmer had promised in the relationship once he took power. What does this new deal mean for this relationship? What does it mean for British politics moving forward? What can the EU expect from this new framework of the relationship between the two sides? In order to understand the shape of the deal, we first have to understand what Keir Starmer wants from the EU-UK relationship are actually two quite contradicting goals. On the one hand, he's looking to, in any ways, to boost economic growth in the UK. The British economy has been stagnant for quite a few years, and of course deepening economic relations and trade with the EU is one way of doing this. On the other side, what he does not want and does not need is the return of all the Brexit ghosts of the past. What this deal shows, however, is that the power relationship between the two sides is really stacked in the EU's favor, because while Keir Starmer managed to get some deeper access to the EU market, access that, let us remind ourselves for a moment, the UK had a lot of before Brexit. On the other hand, he had to make quite a lot of concessions and probably more things than what he had advertised before the negotiation. Precisely the issues that are quite tricky politically inside the UK. Questions such as fishing rights, such as freedom of movement, and the jurisdiction of EU laws and the EU court over the British economy. It is also clear from this negotiation that the EU is not necessarily in a mood to accommodate him. The EU remains a very principled and very tough negotiator. So as though a lot of those issues will be negotiated further down the line, it is not clear that Keir Starmer is going to get all the concessions that he really needs. So for him, it is all up to improving the UK economic outlook fast. Now let's look a bit into the future and try to assess what this new framework means for the relationship of the UK with the EU. It is clear that currently the mood on both sides is quite pragmatic. Both sides understand that they need to cooperate, particularly because they agree on a lot of the big picture stuff like geopolitics, defense, security. They need to defend Ukraine and a lot of those issues. But it is also important to understand that a lot of the things that have been agreed right now and a lot of the things that will form the basis of the relationship moving forward are very much dependent and contingent on the domestic political balance here in Westminster. If you're observing British politics from Europe, you have to understand that right now the UK economy is not in a great shape. The UK government is not in a great shape either. It is deeply unpopular. Keir Starmer himself personally is deeply unpopular, and the political party that currently tops the polls, the opinion polls, is Reform UK of Nigel Farage. This means that a lot of the issues that right now are the basis of agreement between the two sides may well become the basis of major contention and disagreement once the political balance changes in the UK. What this means is that the EU might be looking at only a few years of relatively positive and constructive relationships under the framework formulated and created by this latest deal, because in the foreseeable future this relationship may become much bumpier as British domestic politics itself is becoming bumpier. It is not quite the dawn of a new era. I would say more that it is a first step in a series of many steps in an evolving and dynamic relationship that will definitely see its share of ups and downs. And we're going to be here to analyze this for you. Until next time, take care.